Simple radical equations really are fairly simple. If you remember the big idea, in general, and occasionally it's a little more complicated than this, big idea, get the radical alone on one side of the equation. Because everything can follow from that. That's really step one in almost all of these things. So let's just go straight to an example, which the square root of 5x plus 1 plus 2 equals 6. To get the radical alone on one side of the equation, I just subtract 2 from both sides, leaving me root 5x plus 1 is equal to 4. Since taking the square root of something and squaring it are inverses, or opposite operation, the way that I can undo this whole thing, if I know that I've got the square root of something squared, is always that something, in this case 5x plus 1, is equal to 16. So the second thing would be to square both sides. And then we have a pretty simple equation to solve. 5x equals 15. X equals 3. We can check this pretty easily and see that if I plug the 3 in here, 15 plus 1 would be the square root of 16 is 4 plus 2 is 6. Sometimes with these, sometimes when you square both sides of an equation, the new equation might not be equivalent to the original. This is particularly true if you have squares under the radicals. So you have to check every possible root or solution to see if it's a root. I'm going to leave most of that for your high school. It's important for you to know that, but for now, I just want you to really get the main idea of what we're doing. If I say the square root of 2m squared minus 4, let's see, minus 6 equals negative 2. So to get my radical alone this time, I have to add that. I've got 2m squared minus 4 is equal to 4. I square this, and I'm left with 2m squared minus 4 is 16. I add 4, and I find out that 2m squared is 20. Now, I divide both sides by 2, and I find out that m squared is 10. So I have to take the square root of both sides to undo m squared, and as soon as I take the square root of something, remember I'm going to add that plus or minus, and it is root 10. And since this is in simplest radical form, I'm finished. If it wasn't simplest radical form, I'd have to keep going. Let's do one that looks, say, 3 is equal to the square root of x over 2. I've already got the radical on both sides, so I'm going to square both, and it's the whole thing that's under here. So 9 is equal to x over 2, which makes 18 equal to x. If I said, let me see, if I say 4 is equal to root 7k, or 7x minus 10, over 9, I've got my radical alone on one side of the equation already. This is all the way over this whole thing. So I can square this, and even though that's a fraction, I still have 7x minus 10 over 9 is equal to 16. Fraction destroyer tells me that I've got 7x minus 10 equals 90 plus 54 is 144. I add 10 to both sides. I get 154 is equal to 7x. And when I divide by 7, I get 22 is equal to x. There are really pretty straightforward. If I say the square root of 1/8 of a number is 3, find the number. I have to translate. 1/8 of a number, if so, the number is equal to x. Number equals x. 1/8 of a number would be x divided by 8. The square root of that would be the square root of x divided by 8 is equal to 3. From here, it's quite simple. X over 8 equals 9, so x equals 72. Really, I don't think you need to know more than that. So good luck.